Now, as I pointed out yesterday, the usual Trump haters were too quick to slam Donald Trump's efforts to end the Ukraine war after his summit with Vladimir Putin in Alaska. They all said it was a failure, while I argued the next steps actually looked promising. And sure enough, overnight, the US president met with Volodymyr Zelensky and European leaders, including Keir Starmer and Emmanuel Macron and the head of NATO at the White House. And they've thrashed out the next steps, including a Russia-Ukraine summit and then possibly a trilateral meeting with Russia, Ukraine and the United States. Here's Donald Trump.
We're going to try and get a three-party meeting, maybe as soon as we can, and I have a feeling you and President Putin are going to work something out. I'll set up a meeting with President Putin, and if you'd like, I'll go to that meeting. And not that I want to do that, but I will do that because we want to save a lot of people from dying. A lot of people are dying, and we got to save them.
Now, no one's calling this resolved. I certainly am not, because there are a few tricky steps to go. But as I put it to US analyst Kristen Tate, there certainly is cause for optimism.
Yes, and this last meeting with Zelensky was a great step in the right direction. Some key takeaways from that meeting: Trump and Zelensky presented a united front. This was a much improved situation from their last meeting. Zelensky also said that Ukraine would buy $90 billion worth of American arms. Trump has said we're done giving them unlimited aid, but he's willing to sell arms to them. And most importantly, as you know, those clips you just played showed, Trump understands that Putin has leverage here and that Zelensky and Trump are going to need to work with Putin. Unlike these previous American presidents like Biden and Obama, who would characterize Putin as this, evil fascist dictator, Trump is trying to actually have productive conversations with Putin and bring him to the table. So this is fantastic news, all of this.
Yeah, both things can be true in my view, that he can be an evil fascist dictator, but you've still got to deal with him. You have to deal with him. You have to have some sort of compromise if you want a peace deal. Here's what Volodymyr Zelensky had to say.
We just confirmed after this productive meeting with the President and then with all our colleagues, with the partners, we confirmed that we are ready for a trilateral meeting. Ukraine will never stop on the way to peace, and we are ready for any kind of formats, but on the level of leaders.
Yeah, this is such a turnaround, as you say, Kristen, from the last time Volodymyr Zelensky was at the White House. Also, it shows what a masterstroke it was to have the European and NATO and EU leaders there too, because they've all got a stake in it and you need a united front.
Exactly. They're all working together. But again, I think Putin is the missing piece to this puzzle. Putin has a lot of leverage here, a lot more than Ukraine does. And I think Trump understands that you can't actually solve this conflict without, unfortunately, maybe giving some concessions to Russia. So Ukraine's not going to like that. But the first step is getting everyone to the table and working something out. If anyone can do that, it's a deal maker like Trump.
Yeah, and to emphasise that point, if you like, there was this hot mic moment where Donald Trump was speaking with the French President Emmanuel Macron. Have a listen to this.
I think he wants to make a deal. I think he wants to make a deal for me. You understand? As crazy as it sounds.
It just goes to this point. He is a deal maker and he thinks he's on the brink of a deal. Now, the big question is whether Putin's been level with him. Has Putin sort of played him along, or do we trust that this deal is there for the offing?
Well, we don't know. This is ultimately a battle of big egos here, but I think Trump understands who he's dealing with here. Putin wants to walk away from this conflict looking like he has a victory. He does not want it to appear, Putin doesn't, that Trump is the one kind of brokering the peace and holding all of the cards. Trump gets that because he also has a big ego. Putin's probably going to demand some Ukrainian territory. Trump is not dealing with some nation here like Canada or Mexico or America holds all of the cards. And unfortunately, that's going to probably come at some expense to the Ukrainian people. But, these things are very delicate. We're dealing with big personalities, and Trump is just trying to work something out here.
Yeah, one thing I think to look out for, Kristen, is some sort of compromise when it comes to land swaps. Maybe not a direct land swap, but some sort of autonomous region or administrative region in the eastern Donbass where both countries could claim that they haven't either ceded territory or taken it over. We'll see what unfolds. But I want to go to some of the lighter moments of today's exchanges because I think they give us some insight. You mentioned, of course, before that Volodymyr Zelensky's last visit to the White House was a train wreck. One of the things focused on them was what he decided to wear. Well, Zelensky this time decided to wear a suit. Look at how that played out.
President Zelensky, you look fabulous in that suit.
I said the same thing.
Yeah, you look good.
I said the same thing.
Yeah, looks good.
I said to the one that attacked you last time. See, now he's I remember that.
I apologize to you. You look wonderful. No, my first question for you, President Zelensky.
In the same suit. You see, I changed, you are not.
Maybe yours is much better.
Yeah, good humour from both sides there, Kristen, but it actually highlights that Zelensky was making an effort, doesn't it?
It does. I mean, look, I think Zelensky did a great job with what he chose to wear because he did wear a suit, but he wasn't wearing a tie. So, he's showing that he's respecting what the White House is telling him, but he's also, still his own person and he's not going to completely do everything they tell him to do. And I love the tone here from both parties. Trump is walking a very difficult tight wire here because a big part of his base is just so done with this conflict. There's a lot of anger towards Zelensky because of how they feel he has not been thankful enough for all the aid we've given him. But then you have a bunch of other Americans, probably more than 50%, that absolutely love Zelensky. I was actually up in rural Vermont this weekend, and driving around, you just see every other house is waving the Ukrainian flag. So Trump kind of has to keep all Americans happy. And this tone is just perfect for both leaders to have.
There was also a nice exchange when it came to the First Ladies. We know that Melania Trump had a hand-delivered letter to Vladimir Putin that Donald Trump handed over, and she was appealing for peace. And she said that in protecting the innocence of children, you'll do more than serve Russia alone. You'll serve humanity itself. It's time. And Zelensky handed Trump a letter from his wife where he is thanking Melania for that intercession. Have a look.
Many thanks to your wife, First Lady of the United States. She sent a letter to Putin about our children, abducted children, and my wife, First Lady of Ukraine. She gave the letter. It's not to you, to your wife.
I want it.
There we go. Lots of good indicators there. We've got to see what happens. We need to see the Putin-Zelensky meeting. We need to see the trilateral meeting after that. But let's keep our fingers crossed. I just want to get your comment on Washington, D.C. We talked last week about the National Guard being sent in to improve law and order. They're on the streets. How's it all panning out?
It's working well. They're finally regaining control of Washington, D.C., which has had a higher crime rate in the last few years than some third world countries, cities like Mexico City. Washington, D.C. actually had a higher crime rate than Mexico City, Panama City, all kinds of other third world cities. So something had to be done. Good for Trump. It is working. And again, I know we talk about this theme a lot in these segments. All it takes is will and strong leadership, and so much can be done. We are seeing that on the ground in Washington, D.C., which has been an embarrassment for over a decade now in terms of their law enforcement and safety. Finally, the citizens there can sleep easy at night knowing the law is being enforced.
Strength and leadership and will. We don't see it here in Australia,
right?
But it is on display there in D.C. at the moment. Thanks for joining us again, Kristen.
Thank you, Chris.